HMS Nubian was named after a proud and ancient people. Fierce warriors from the lands of the Nile. And like her namesake, HMS Nubian would earn her place in history through courage, endurance, and unshakable determination. HMS Nubian was one of the Royal Navy's tribal-class destroyers, a class built not merely for speed and escort duty, but for dominance. The tribals were larger, faster, and more heavily armed than any destroyers the Royal Navy had ever sent to sea. The tribals bristled with 8.7-inch mounts, broadside firepower to rival small cruisers. Built by Thornycroft and Company at Southampton in August 1936, launched in December 1937, and commissioned in December 1938. She joined the fleet in a tense world, one where peace was already beginning to crack. When war came in September 1939, HMS Nubian was ready. Her first taste of combat came in the frigid waters of Norway, in the spring of 1940. The Norwegian campaign was brutal, naval operations through fjords where mountains echoed with gunfire, and the Luftwaffe ruled the skies. Nubian escorted troopships, guarded convoys, and engaged enemy aircraft again and again. Her gunners learned quickly, accuracy, discipline, and calm under pressure were the only ways to survive. By summer, she was ordered south, to the Mediterranean. There, she joined the 14th Destroyer Flotilla at Alexandria, the Royal Navy's spearhead against the Axis in North Africa. She escorted convoys to Malta, bombarded Axis positions along the Libyan coast, and hunted Italian supply ships. In March 1941, she was at Cape Matapan, one of the Royal Navy's great victories of the war. As Admiral Cunningham's fleet trapped the Italian Navy, Nubian joined the destroyer screen that attacked crippled enemy cruisers under cover of darkness. Her guns roared into the night as British torpedoes struck home. When dawn came, 3 Italian heavy cruisers and 2 destroyers lay wrecked. The triumph of Matapan was soon followed by tragedy. Only weeks later, in April and May of 1941, HMS Nubian was sent to assist in the desperate evacuation of Allied troops, first from Greece, then from Crete. The Luftwaffe dominated the skies, and every daylight movement meant another barrage of bombs. During the evacuation of Crete, Nubian was constantly under fire. Her 4.7-inch guns barked skyward as German dive bombers, the dreaded Stukas, swooped down again and again. The destroyer maneuvered furiously, her decks shuddering under near misses and shrapnel bursts. On the night of May 26, disaster struck. A near miss exploded close astern, ripping away her entire rear section, her steering gear, depth charges, and after-gun mounts were obliterated in a single, devastating blast. 7 men were killed, and many others wounded. The ship was half destroyed, but she refused to die. Her crew, exhausted and smoke-stained, fought through the night to save their ship, sealing compartments, rigging pumps, and counter-flooding to keep her afloat. Against all odds, they succeeded. Badly crippled, Nubian was towed back to Alexandria. There, she was made seaworthy enough for a long, perilous voyage across the Indian Ocean to Bombay. It was an extraordinary journey for a wounded destroyer, one that tested both her crew and her construction to their limits. In Bombay, shipwrights set to work building her an entirely new stern, stronger and more modern than before. More than a year later, in 1942, Nubian rejoined the Mediterranean fleet. She was whole again, scarred but reborn, and once more ready for battle. The war in the Mediterranean still raged fiercely. Malta remained under siege, and convoys fought their way through constant attacks from Axis aircraft, submarines, and surface ships. Nubian was back in the thick of it, escorting supply runs, bombarding enemy coastal positions, and striking at Axis shipping off Sfax, Tunisia, and along the Libyan coast. Every one of these battles marked months of relentless struggle, long nights, rough seas, and the never-ending thunder of bombs. But Nubian's crew, now veterans hardened by fire and loss, never wavered. In 1943, the tide of war had turned. The Allies struck at Sicily, and Nubian was there once more, bombarding shore positions, screening landing craft, and driving off attacking aircraft with deadly precision. Soon after, came Salerno, another ferocious landing under air attack and heavy coastal fire. Later that year, Nubian steamed west to help secure the surrender of small Italian-held islands, including Linosa, a symbolic but deeply satisfying moment for her crew. The once mighty Italian fleet was finished, and Nubian had played her part in bringing about its end. By 1944, the Mediterranean War was largely won, but Nubian service was not over. She joined operations in northern waters, escorting convoys in freezing seas and taking part in fleet operations. From the frozen north to the burning south, few ships could claim such range or endurance. In 1945, Nubian joined the Royal Navy's Eastern Fleet in the Indian Ocean, operating off Ceylon, Sumatra, and the Nicobar Islands. The war was reaching its final chapter, and though the great fleet battles were over, her duty continued, screening carriers, bombarding coastal targets, and standing watch until victory came. When the guns finally fell silent, HMS Nubian had served in nearly every major theater of the Second World War. From Norway to Crete, from Libya to the Arctic, she had fought for 6 relentless years and carried the White Ensign proudly in every engagement. Her record was unmatched among destroyers of her class. 12 battle honors. It was an extraordinary accomplishment, a testament to her crew's endurance, her builder's skill, and her nation's prowess. After the war, Nubian returned to Britain. She was placed in reserve in 1946, still a proud yet aging veteran. In June 1949, she was sold. Her hull was broken up at Newport. It was a quiet end for a ship that had survived so much, but her name endured. For the men who served aboard her, whether the young sailors barely out of their teens, learning their trade in the engine rooms, or the older, battle-hardened gunners facing the roar of combat and the unpredictability of the sea, Nubian was far more than just a ship. Her officers, a mix of seasoned veterans and rising leaders, guided her through storms and battle, teaching lessons of courage, skill, and discipline. Together, they became a family, bound by shared duty and the challenges of life at sea. She was home. She was hope. She was where youth and experience met, each man relying on the other, every life intertwined with the steel and steam of the destroyer. From the gun decks to the bridge, every story we tell honors those who served. If this tale made you feel the salt and steel of history, give it a like, and if you're not yet part of our channel's convoy, subscribe and join the ranks. More powerful stories await.